Get right into it with a recap of last week. We ended on a very strong note. Thursday's picks actually only went 1-0 on Thursday, but after the makeups, um, just to be clear, the MLB games either haven't been played yet or were played with different pitching matchups, which obviously affects the picks. So I did not count those. But the NBA picks that I had, we counted those, and those both went on to win. I will say the Rockets game where I picked the alternative spread. Um, Westbrook was back, but it actually didn't affect the line at all. Maybe a half point. I can't remember exactly, but that was weird. But I don't know how that didn't affect the line. But we won nonetheless, as they won by 30 something points. So good day. We ended up 12-9 for the week, which is obviously pretty good, considering we're only betting underdogs. And if you blindly tailed all my plays, you got almost plus 6 units, 5.7 pretty much. So it was a good week. Hopefully we can come back with some of the same and get right into it with a bet that I've been going with pretty much every game of the series. And that's the Rockets with an alternative spread. The regular line's around -5.5. We're going to take them at -7 to get plus 110 value versus the Thunder. I've said it on every show since the series started. The Rockets are just the better team, and there was no reason why they were underdogs in the beginning of the series. And now they have Westbrook back, and while he might not be super relevant yet, he is just another person that the OKC needs to think about and opens up a little bit more room for Harden. And I have it up on screen. The Rockets' wins have all come by double digits, so I'm not too worried about laying 7 points because when they've won big. And so I'm not going to repeat really everything I've said about this series over the past week or so, but I really do think that the Rockets should close it out tonight, and hopefully by a pretty large margin to hit on this one once again. And that's it for the NBA, as there's only 2 games today. But we do have a couple of MLB plays, and we're going to start off with the Nationals at plus 120 versus the Phillies. The Nats got Eric Fetty on the mound. We bet on a lot of his games on this show. Pretty league average numbers, if I got to break them down. But going up against Spencer Howard for the Phillies, who's 0-1 on the year with a 6.17 ERA and over a 2 WHIP. So there's a slight advantage here for Fetty for sure, but I will say that Howard has only pitched a handful of innings. I think he's at around 12 innings pitched, something like that. So I'm not putting too much value into how his numbers look right now. But the one thing that I definitely want to note is the fact that both of these pitchers will likely not go too deep into the game. Howard has 3 outings so far this year. He hasn't gone more than 5 innings in any of them. But that being said, 2 of them were doubleheaders, so only 7-inning games. So maybe that affected it a little bit. But Fetty is likely the same. He's actually more of a long reliever than a starter. He has 5 outings, only 2 starts, I believe. But yeah, I mean, he doesn't go too deep into games either. I don't think he's gone into the 6th, if I remember correctly. So I think this will be a game largely decided by the bullpen, where the Nationals do have a pretty sizable advantage. One thing I will say is up until this point, I've been using numbers based on the entire season. I feel like we're deep enough into the season where I can start going recent trends rather than just the numbers overall. So last 2 weeks will be a very popular trend that I use to decide my games. But regardless, in the last 2 weeks, the Phillies do rank 22nd in bullpen ERA. And meanwhile, the Nats' bats have come alive, being 3rd in batting average and on-base percentage in the last 2 weeks. So I really think that neither of these pitchers will go deep into the game. The Phillies' bullpen obviously has been bad, and the Nationals have been hitting the ball pretty well. So I think this is definitely a game that they can win. Should probably be a close one on either side. But like I said, if you don't like the last 2 week trend, I apologize. But the bullpens are ranked 7th and 8th in wins above replacement all year. So it really does show that the Phillies have been doing pretty bad recently. But we'll go into the next game, which is the White Sox versus the Twins. The White Sox are around a -145 favorite, I believe, but we're going to take them on the run line at -2. Hope for a push, worst case scenario. Get them at +155 if they happen to cover that. Lucas Giolito's on the mound for the White Sox. He's 3-2 with a 3 ERA and pretty much a 1 WHIP. And Rich Hill's taking the mound for the Twins, who's 1-1 with a 3.55 ERA and 1.26 WHIP. So 2 pretty good pitchers. Definitely not putting a ton of value into either of those. But Hill has only thrown 12 innings this year compared to Giolito's 43, so a bigger sample size there. You can take that as you please. But definitely, anyone that's been paying attention to the MLB, the White Sox are probably the hottest hitting team in the league right now. I'll put their numbers up. But yeah, in the last 2 weeks, the White Sox are second in on-base percentage and batting average. They're first in home run and slugging. They're hitting the crap out of the ball right now for sure. Got a couple players on some ungodly streaks right now. Bound to regress eventually, but hopefully just not today. But meanwhile, the Twins bullpen has allowed the 3rd most home runs in the last 2 weeks and also the 4th most in the last month. So, I mean, this is really just a case of Rich Hill's only thrown 12 innings this year. I don't think he's going to go deep into the game. Maybe around 5 innings, 6 innings. But White Sox are absolutely crushing the ball right now. And definitely going to keep rolling with them as they are one of the hotter teams in baseball. But not only are they hitting the ball well, it's the fact that they hit lefties well, which obviously Rich Hill is. I got the numbers up on screen. They're hitting almost 310 against lefties with a 0.380 on base percentage and almost 600 slugging percentage. So I definitely just think that the White Sox will win this game. It's just a matter of how much. But with the way that they've been hitting the ball and taking the ball out of the park, I believe the month of August was a franchise record for home runs in a month. I believe they set that even like 3-4 days ago. So definitely having a month for the record books. So I think this could very well be a game where 1 home run gets us to our -2 cover, or at least the push. And who knows, maybe get a couple of home runs and get that +155 cashed. I think all trends point to a pretty good game from the White Sox. And lastly, one last pick on the MLB slate. We got the Padres at -105 versus the Rockies. I've looked around. These lines are been bouncing around a little bit. I've seen Padres anywhere from -115 to even money, and pretty much the same for the Rockies, even though most sites do have the Rockies as a slight favorite. But the Padres got Garrett Richards on the mound, who's 1-2 with a 5 ERA, 1.5 WHIP, and Herman Marquez is pitching for the Rockies, who's 2-4 with a 4.5 ERA and 1.33 WHIP. So this is another case where even though the numbers do favor the Rockies a little bit, I don't think it's really that much. I think it's relatively even, if you ask me. But definitely one thing to look at is the fact that the Padres are pretty significantly better at the plate. If the White Sox aren't the hottest team at the plate in baseball, it's definitely the Padres. They're number 1 in batting average, on base percentage, OPS, and also number 2 in slugging the last 2 weeks, as well as second in home runs. But the Rockies are last in ERA and number 3 in home runs allowed in the last 2 weeks. So this is definitely a spot for the Padres to come out with a big game, as they've been hitting the ball just about as good as you can. But yeah, I'm definitely interested in the stat here that the Rockies have allowed the third most home runs, and the Padres are hitting the second most home runs. As obviously in today's day of baseball, home runs kind of decide games and seasons, and so I definitely, I really like the Padres here, although it's only minus 105, minus 110, depending where you get them. I definitely think this is a game that they should win, and hopefully they do so. And as always, I got a lean for you guys. It's the Cardinals at plus 105 versus the Reds. This is one that BetQL is all over. Not going to give out the whole reasoning why. If you guys want to see why, all the advanced analytics and breakdowns and trends and all that, you can sign up for a subscription. Use the promo code Mazone. Links in the description for 20% off of your subscription. You can check all that stuff out. So those are the picks for today. 4 picks, 1 lean. I'm hoping to start off with a good day on the week. So I'll just run it back real quick. The Rockets, alternative spread -7, plus 110. I would honestly even debate buying some extra points there, or selling some extra points there, and you get an even better value, because I do think that the Rockets are going to win this game pretty handedly. But also Nationals plus 120 versus the Phillies. White Sox to cover -2, plus 155 there. And the Padres at minus 105, as well as the Cardinals at plus 105 as a lean. But I really like the picks today. I feel like it should do pretty well. I'm glad that I'm deep enough into the season where I can feel confident using the last 2-week trend rather than just the whole season. So thank you guys for tuning in. I will be back, obviously, again tomorrow at 11 a.m., same place, same time. So good luck with everyone's bets, and hopefully I'll see you guys back tomorrow. Thanks.